Hi everyone, and welcome to the first chapter of our new eFind tutorial series of videos. Today we're going to learn about the overall interface and what each of the functions in eFind actually do, along with some explanations about the do's and don'ts of eFind to help you get the most out of the application. So I'm going to begin by logging into eFind using my account for the first time to show you how to start your first customer interview. We'll go through assuming you're a brand new eFind user. The important thing to note with login is that you really only need to do this once. Once you've logged in, the application will remember that you are logged in, so that when you press the home button to close out of eFind and use another app on your iPad, you can quickly switch between the apps without losing any data and without having to keep logging in all the time. The first thing you will notice is the pop-ups on screen that help to explain the next steps for you to complete. These will only show up when you are first logging in to eFind. As I haven't logged in before, the first thing that eFind asks me to do is to synchronize. This will actually synchronize your account with the eFind servers, retrieve the latest version of the program so as we can make quick and easy updates for you, and also save any interviews you've done. We'll get to synchronize explanations very soon. You'll also notice that the briefcase menu option is not displayed at the moment. eFind needs to ensure that you've synchronized your app with the server to make sure you have all the latest information. Now we can go into the briefcase and you'll see that there are no interviews at all. This is what most people will see the first time you load eFind as a new user. So to create our first interview, we just need to tap on the Add button on the top right of the screen and start conducting our client interview. I'll go and create a few applications now so that we can show you how to make sure you don't lose any data, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we're inside our briefcase and I've entered a few applications so that we can run through how to ensure you don't lose any information and what Synchronise actually does. The first thing to remember is that anytime you create a new interview, it's being saved locally on the iPad. This is great, of course. However, when you tap Logout, the Logout function actually clears anything that is stored locally on the device. This is why we say that you don't need to log out. There's actually no need to use this function unless you share your iPad with other users and you don't want them to have access to your interviews. Assuming you stay logged in helps to maintain the interviews on the iPad for offline mode, so if you lose your internet connection, that's okay too. You won't lose the interview. Now we're going to demonstrate this in action so you can understand how Sync and Logout work together and how best to use these options. First of all, we are going to create a new interview. I'll give it a name so that we can recognize it in the briefcase and add an applicant. It's important to note that eFind allows you to enter as little or as much information as you want, so you can be quick with your customer when you need to. Now that I've created the interview, I can return to my briefcase to see it in my list. Here it is here. If I press the home button on my iPad to return to my home screen and use another app, I can do so no problem. When I hit the eFind app again, it will simply load up and you can see the interview is still there. Great. You'll see that right now I haven't synchronized my device, and so this interview is only stored on my iPad in what's called local memory. So assuming you don't log out, you should have no problems. Now let's see what happens when I log out. Okay, so I've logged out now without synchronizing first, and let's see where my interview is. I've logged back into eFind, and you'll see that it's asking me to synchronize again, as it thinks that I'm a different user. So now we can do the sync. When I visit my briefcase, you can see that the interview I had previously synced are still here, but the new one that we created is gone. This is because I didn't synchronize anything, so when it checks against the backup service, it's not there, and unfortunately it's not retrievable. Always remember that the logout option clears the device for security reasons. Okay, so let's see how to make sure our interviews do get saved if we want to use the logout feature. From briefcase, let's create a new interview. Let's give it a name so that we can recognize. Okay, so here it is in my list of interviews. Now I'm going to synchronize my device before I use Logout. So let's do that now. All synced. Okay, good. This has now saved our new interview on the eFind web server under your account so that if you log out or use another device, this interview will always be there. So now we'll log out and let's log back in again and see the differences. As usual for a new login, it's asking me to resync. Now let's look at the list of interviews in our briefcase. You'll see that the interview we created is here. Excellent. So by using the synchronization service, we've made sure that we can always have the data backed up properly. Now, if you lose your iPad or you drop it and it breaks, believe me, I've done that before, you can just pick up a new device and you'll have your data when you synchronize again. So I hope this has been able to show you how to make sure you never lose a client interview and that you are able to see how the synchronization service works. In the next few chapters, we're going to look at export to your CRM and how this is achieved as an export is very different to synchronization. And as always, you can contact us or log a support issue if you would like to know more information. Thanks again for watching.